Hey everybody, this is Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and in today's video we're going to talk about new books that I'm getting ready to send into CGC. What was my process? What was my methodology that I employed in this process? It's always changing. I'm learning from past results when I get books in from CGC. Did I make mistakes in the past? Can I correct those mistakes? Is the new methodology that I'm using right now, is this going to help protect against some of those downfalls? Did I pick good books? At the end of the video, at any point, if you like this kind of topic, I hope you get something out of it. Would be interesting to hearing your comments about it and what you think about the process that I'm doing. And well, let's just get into it. I actually have a bunch of orders that I'm getting ready to send out. This is probably going to be the first of many videos just like this where I talk about these books, and I'll try to go on a little bit less at the beginning in the other videos and just show you the books, and I'll show you what was a little bit different about some of those orders as opposed to this one. But right here I've got 25 books, and first off you go, okay, why 25? Well, 25 is the minimum that you need to send in the CGC to do a pre-screen, and that right now, a pre-screen is going to be a big part of my process going forward. And if you watched one of my former videos, go back and watch the one talking about just the one where I actually get hammered. It is a order that's very indicative of a lot of the books that I've been sending in, where I go back into a lot of the 80s books, the key comics. Fantastic Four was a good example, Avengers, SpiderMan, XMen, things like that. And every one of these books are books that I've worked on at this point. They've been in my presses, they've been clean and pressed, and it kind of all wraps up into sending this order in. Well, in that particular order, I actually got hammered pretty good. There were some books that really dropped down. Now granted, I did have some pretty big winners in there too, but what I'm going to do moving forward is really try to stick to these pre-screen sets. And it isn't one of those where you think about everything has to be a 9/8. Well, that's not where I'm at on these books. These books here, the method I employed is I went and did analysis on every book. What were they selling at certain grades? What's the lowest fair market value for a book before I feel like it's not worth sending in? And if you don't do a pre-screen and it drops off, I always say that phrase, it drops off the cliff. Well, it's kind of worthless at that point, and you didn't do a good job at getting that book up to snuff or selecting a good book. There's a little bit of all that kind of rolls into it. But at this point, what I'm doing is I'm still think this order right here, as I did the work, I think that I did a really good job on all of these. And do I think that they'll all come back at this certain grade that I am going to use on this order? The answer is no. But just in case I missed out, then if I missed something, then that's fine. It won't get graded. I'll get charged the minimal fee for the non-grade, and the book will come back. But I feel like a lot of these are going to hit higher than my pre-screen selection number. And if that's the case, then I'm actually in really good shape no matter what. So I don't feel like I have a lot to lose on an order like this, unless, well, every one of them come back as they didn't meet the grade period, and then I'm left with very little, and all I'm getting charged is that $8 per book for not getting graded. But as I said, let's get into it. 25 books, and just so you know, because I don't think I've mentioned it yet, the pre-screen, and I've got my order right here. It's already ready to go. I printed it out. These books are in great shape. I've gone back and I double checked them. I feel like they're all, as I said, they're all going to be better than what my pre-screen is. But tell you what I'm doing. I'm doing a 9.4 pre-screen on this order right here. There's good value at a 9.4 on every one of these. If it dropped below that, then it really isn't worth grading. Maybe a little bit here and there, but for the most part, a 9.4 on all these are all good value books. If they're more than that, then it's even better. But let's just get into it, and I'll talk a little bit about each book. So first off, right off the bat, is Daredevil 160. And of course, this is part of that Bullseye, first Bullseye with Frank Miller in the Daredevil run, of course. And I'm just going to look on the list here, and I'll tell you what I'm valuing these books at a 9.4. And if it drops, even if at $100, it's actually a pretty good value. But some of these are more than that, even at a 9.4. And something like this in a 9.4, fair market value right now is about $160. So now what I didn't do is go in there and tell you what these are going to be valued at a 9.6, or God forbid even a 9.8. I'm not even thinking a 9.8 on these, but hopefully a 9.6 on a lot of them. So 160 on something like that. I've got Fantastic Four 265, and spoiler alert if you haven't already read this issue in the last 35 years, this is the issue where She-Hulk joins the Fantastic Four. I always loved this issue. I think John Byrne loved She-Hulk, and while I enjoyed her in the Fantastic Four, I missed the Thing, because everybody knows that the Thing has always been my favorite character, and I think John Byrne drew him great, almost as good as Kirby, almost as good as Starlin. So we got 265 right now, at a 9.4 is running fair market value about $125. Alright, so we've got some good Thors right here. I'll pull both of these up at the same time. We've got 364 and 366. This, of course, is Throg. They don't call him that, but this is Thor when Loki turned Thor into a frog, and then when he became the Frog of Thunder. It's pretty funny. It was hilarious, and I loved how they picked a little bit of that up in the Loki series. But right there, pretty good value on both of these. Right now, a 364 is about $100. 366 is $120. And these prices could always change. And to tell you a little bit about my research on this is, for the most part, this is an eBay search. What are books going for? What are they selling for at certain grades? It took a little time, and I'm going to go forward with this process on all the other orders coming up. Every order that's sitting in the office right now has been cleaned and pressed. I'm going back and reevaluating some of them, see if I missed anything. But I've got this giant spreadsheet right now. It's probably 200 to 300 books that I've gone through that's in the queue, more or less. And whether they've been pressed, ready to go, or they are on schedule to be pressed, I've gone through every one of these books. I've done research on mostly eBay, but then Go Collect, Cover Price, sometimes Heritage, depending on the age of the book. I might go back for something a little bit older and see what it was selling on there. And I basically put a value at each grade, 9.8, 9.6, 9.4, 9.2, 9.0, and all the way down. And at that point, I could pretty much tell you what books they're going to go into a 9.4 order, what books are going to go into a 9.6, 9.8, so forth and so on. And maybe in some of them, they won't have a pre-screen at all. And because I know one of my last orders that I just got back, that I didn't worry about it. It didn't matter how far it dropped off the book. I knew that I had done such a good job on the pressing that it was going to be a good order. And only in cases like that will I not actually put a pre-screen on it. But let's go on with some more here. We got Thor 385. This is a classic battle with the Hulk. I don't think there's any real significance, but I know that this issue right here has some really good value. So for Thor 385, it's $100 at a 9.4 value book. So this is one of those I hope I can get a little bit better grade. It's not a super key or anything, but surprisingly good value. Now here is a good book for good value. This is Thor 411. I've got 3 of these. And these were the first appearance of the New Warriors, and I thought for years that 412 was the real big key in that. I mean, there is a huge battle and just wonderful Ron Friends and Joe Sennett artwork, Thor battling Juggernaut, and I thought that 412 was always the more valuable, but it seems like it's switched to this book right here. I think there's more than just a cameo, but 411 right now at a 9.4 is running about $110. Again, I think all these books are going to be slightly better than that, but yeah, so that's a pretty good book to have. Now, what's interesting also about this order so far, and I'm looking through this, most of these books, although a handful of them won't be, and I'll point them out when I get to one that's not, these are from the PC. These are books that I had when I was growing up. You know, they were part of my collection. My monthly subscription, I would get a certain order of books in every month, and in a lot of cases, books were so cheap. I mean, look at this. I mean, Thor 411 is $1. The Fantastic Four, the 60 cents, the Throg Thor 75 cents. So I was buying multiple copies of a lot of these issues. I wasn't collecting a lot more than just a handful of Marvels, a couple DCs, and a couple probably Eclipse or First comics back in the day. But in certain ones that I liked a lot, I was collecting multiple issues. I was getting into that collecting world of buying multiples with the idea of holding on to them or doing something like that. I didn't have it, it wasn't fully realized, but that's what I was doing back in the day. And you can see some of these books have really, I've took care of them over the years. A little bit of clean and press, a little bit of spine work with the tack iron. It was all pretty good. All right, I've got 2 issues here. Well, I'll take it back. Let's see what I've got. I got Iron Man 170, and this is where Rhodey takes on the Iron Man armor. It's the first time he put on the armor. He wasn't War Machine. He wasn't even Iron Man at this point. But it's the first time that he put on the armor. And one of these is from the PC. This one right here. This one I actually picked up at a local con I think at the beginning of the year. I think I picked a whole $6 for that one right there. So that was a pretty good value. But these have got some good value. At a 9.4, Iron Man 170, runs about 125. 9.6s can run as low as maybe 135, but I've seen them run closer to 175. So again, another book that I'm hoping that will grade out better than the 9.4. Now this is one I picked up from a show just a few weeks ago. This is Iron Man 126. This is one of my favorite Iron Man issues. 126 and 127, my favorite Iron Man covers. This was just an absolute treasure of a cover. I never knew it was the homage to Tales of Suspense 39. I just knew I loved this. I believe John Romita artwork with Bob Layton inking, just absolutely stunning. What a perfect cover for a kid to take and trace over and do your own drawings and things like that. This is probably one of the most perfect covers you'll ever see. So absolutely love this. Now 126 is maybe at a 9.4 about $120 value. I think it's so much nicer than that though. And this is one of the ones, I love it so much that I'm not worried about the value so much. That's definitely a PC book for the day. Now, at that same show, I also picked up Daredevil 170. Now, this is the first Kingpin in Daredevil. This is where that whole storyline begins. Frank Miller brought Kingpin in. I think first time you hear that he's named Wilson Fisk in this. A book like this at a 9.4 has a lot of value. At a 9.4, right fair market value is about $150. So that's really good. I paid, I think, a whole $14 for this. And I remember this particular dealer. They had a price on there, and then they had a second sticker that had what prices would be if it was I'm trying to think if it was near mint, fine, and good prices. So you could see the range of prices, see what prices would be if he was selling it, and then you kind of got an idea of where he valued what this book really was. And I bought several books from this guy. I felt like the books could be improved better than what he was grading out at that time, and this is definitely one of those cases. Alright, now we're going back to some more PC books. We got Punisher. This is from his limited series, his original limited series. This is number 2, issue number 2. I already got number 1 graded, and I actually sold it. I got a 9.4 in that, and I ended up selling that to help pay for some of the other orders and everything. So I don't have issue 1 anymore, but I've got issue 2 here. Issue 2, basically that's the 9.4 is $100 fair market value. And again, really nice shape. Hoping, broken record, I hope they're all better than a 9.4. Alright, so now we've got, going back to the old book that I absolutely adore. Every order you see me get in has certain XMen books in it, and I'm going to warn you, when I start getting more CGC orders back in, you're going to see more of these books, because I absolutely love, since I love these stories to begin with, but I found good value in them. You could buy them fairly cheap, hopefully improve them, and if you can get a high grade, you've got a real something of real value right there. But I've got 3 issues here of X-Men 211. This is the beginning of one of the beginnings of the Mutant Massacre storyline. This one's John Romita artwork, great cover and everything. 211 here runs about 115 for a 9.4. Now I've had mixed results on this one and 212 and 213, and we'll talk about those in a second as well. And I keep looking for top grades on all of these. And this run of books, because here I'll talk about them in a second, because you can see I've got 212 and 213 coming up. But all 3 of those books are books that I want as high grades in my collection, but if they drop off too much, they're not really that, they don't have a lot of value down at a 9.0 or a 9.2 even. But at a 9.4, as I said, 211 here runs around $100, and that's fine. This is why I'm doing the orders the way I'm going to be doing them from this point on, is that I don't want them dropping off past $100. So I've got 3 copies of that, and these, one of them came from one of the comic shows I went to recently. The other 2 came from one of my favorite LCSs in the area, Cards, Comics, and Collectibles. And if you haven't checked out my video I did on them, I did a video spotlight on them here a couple episodes ago. Went up to their big Thanksgiving Day, Thanksgiving and Easter sale. They have 2 sales that are just absolutely monster, and they do it Easter and then Thanksgiving. And so I went to the Easter one, of course. But check those guys out. They have some good books, and I'm looking here, and I probably will have some more books from them in these upcoming orders. Now, both of these, actually I take it back. Let's go to 212 first. 212 came from my other LCS that I go to almost every week. I use that as my new comic book shop. This is Third Eye Comics, but what we have here is X issue number 212. Now, I paid a little bit more money for this than I probably should have, but I took a shot on it. It looked really good. I don't think this will grade out as a 9.8, but I think I can get a 9.6 on this. At the very least, I can get a 9.4. 9.4 on 212 runs about $100. And then I've got 2 copies of X-Men 213. This is the classic Sabretooth Wolverine cover, Alan Davis artwork. You've got, one of them's a newsstand, which is kind of nice. But I picked these up from the same show from 2 different dealers, and both of them are really nice shape. 213 has a good value, about $140 fair market value. Alright, few books left. Here's one that I've been picking up a few recently of. This I picked up at a shop over in Frederick, Maryland called Beyond Comics. You probably saw me when if you watched the video I did on one of my hauls here, probably about a month ago, I picked this up. It was a big day because I picked this book up, and I picked up from the same shop right as I was checking out with this book and a few other things. I looked on the wall and they had a really nice copy of SpiderMan 122, The Death of the Green Goblin, and it's a book that is a grail for me, and I just remember that day. But I remember I was already excited about this book because it was a good price that I paid on it. I think there's going to be good value on it because I think I can get it better than a 9.4. But the 9.4, as I keep going on about, is protecting me from making a mistake, from it dropping off past that. But as a 9.4, this is about $120 value. Now, I don't have them written down. Again, I don't know right off what it is at a 9.6, but I also am working on a project where I'm trying to get all 4 of the original Wolverine miniseries as a 9.8, and I want to say I've got 2 of the 4. I may even have issue number 2, but I think I got 2 issue. I mean, I know I've got all 4 of them as a 9.6, which is really good. But yeah, I'm still trying to outside shot, trying to get in a 9.8, and knowing that I've got a number 2 here, it must mean that it's issues 3 and 4 I've got as 9.8s. All right, here's one of my favorite covers and one of my favorite storylines, Kraven's Last Hunt. This is issue 294 of Amazing Spider-Man. To me, this one and the other Kraven, I guess 293, were always my favorite covers, just because you've got Kraven really big, the tones are really good, the inking's fantastic, and you've got, yeah, I think this is probably one of the more expensive ones in the lot, but at a 9.4, fair market value on something like this is $122. But I've got multiple copies of all 6 of Kraven's Last Hunt in at CGC currently. Be interesting to see what I start getting back, because in some of those orders I can guarantee you I probably don't have a pre-screen on there, and I'm hoping that they don't, again, drop off the cliff. Here's a case where I'm protecting myself again. Alright, so I've got another X-Men here. This is X-Men 160. This came from the PC. This is the first appearance of Magik as an adult. Of course, this was Colossus's little sister, and just an interesting issue. I always enjoyed this run of X-Men. I didn't enjoy it at the time. I grew up on John Byrne X-Men, and just his artwork has, I still today don't think it's really been surpassed, and it set a standard that made it hard for me to really, at the time, really enjoy other artists. And it wasn't probably until Jim Lee that I actually really enjoyed the X-Men again. Now, I've gone back in time and enjoyed the Mark Sylvester and the Paul Smiths of the world, and even the John Romita to a certain degree on X-Men. But fun stories, a little bit of value on this at a 9.4 issue. This issue here, let's see if I can find it here, is roughly $115. Again, I think this is a really good copy. Came from the PC. I think I did a really good job storing a lot of these books over the years, and I think I did a good job of doing a clean press on all of these. So, all right, last 2 books are the same thing. One is from the PC, and one is again from Third Eye Comics in Annapolis, Maryland. And I paid a little bit more money, and that's this one. This one's from the PC, and just fantastic shape. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm not doing a fast pass. This probably will not be in any time. I'm not even sure when the She-Hulk show comes out, but I'm not worried about it because I'm not doing spec on books based on when shows come out. Maybe I'm a little bit and kind of running behind, but my take on a lot of this is I'm not worried about what those highs are when the show hits and those spikes really hit, because I'm not worried about what that final number is. What I like though is that a lot of times these books don't go back down to the original value. They still rise up and have great value, and that's what I'm shooting for in a lot of this, is have books that are still worth having in your collection, and having books that you can sell and help pay for the rest of the collection. And a lot of these, this book is a great example. It's a 9.4, it's $100 fair market value, and that's fine. I think they're better than that, and it'd be great to get 9.8s on both of these. And it's not going to be as expensive as a Savage She-Hulk, but it's still great value. But anyway, that's it. That's what this order is today. This is a 9.4 pre-screen modern submission. To recap, I'm doing this as a way to prevent me losing value in these books, and hopefully every one of these will meet the 9.4, and God willing, most of them will be a 9.6, and with an outside shot on some of these is a 9.8. We don't know. I did a great job on these, but from my recent experience with a lot of these books from the 80s especially, is that it seems like CGC is grading harshly on those books. And I don't know. That's just my recent take on it, and doesn't really matter. I'm going to try to keep improving my own eye and try to keep making sure that I can learn how to spot these defects and grade them accordingly. The pre-screen is a little bit of a crutch, but I don't care because this methodology works. I think will work for me. But you guys can let me know. Write in. Let me know first off, what do you think of the books, and then secondly, what do you think of this method that I'm trying to employ? Now, it can get pretty expensive, but I've got a lot of books in the pipeline at CGC, and they're coming in and they're going out, and I've got them where I'm selling a lot of books, but I'm also keeping a handful of the books back that I want for my PC, that I want to hold on to. They may be valuable, they may be personal favorites, but there's things I'm going to pass on down to my daughter at some point. But most of these, I don't need to hold on to these things. I've enjoyed them for years, but there's no reason to always keep just adding to your collection like this. I'm in a stage of my life where I don't mind selling off parts of these. I've had my enjoyment out of these. I'd like to get a good return on investment. That's all what all this is. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't love these comics. I wouldn't know enough about these items to even be able to do this if I didn't love these. And I think that's probably true with a lot of us right now, is that that's what we kind of do. We always talk about having to the hobby pay for itself, and this is all part of it. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video today, please hit the thumbs up and to support the channel. And I encourage everyone to share this video with friends, and if you want, let's have a dialogue and we can talk about it more. So anyway, guys, take care, and I will see you for the next video.